after our representatives, it was either Howard Lutnick or Jameson Greer, after they put out the details, we have arrived at the Chinese delegation was nodding, and this is, at least at this point, we don't have to ask whether it's just us saying that something was arrived at.
Yeah, but the something was not.
We don't know the something.
We don't know.
What do you think the something is?
Basically a truce. Look, you've got a two-front trade war. You've got the tariff war, and there we've got to let it play out a little bit over the next month or two. And now you've got the export control trade war. And this was focusing on the latter, on the export controls. And I think what you basically have is the China saying, yeah, we'll ease up on our limits on these so-called rare earths.
We say.
And what we're going to do is basically saying, if you do that, then we'll ease up on certain high-tech exports to you. That's essentially what's on the table.
And that's up to President Trump, exactly which high-tech.
Well, traditionally, the high-tech issues are decided more than anybody by the Commerce Department. That's why Lutnick was at these talks. These were less, if you will.
He has to sign off on it, though.
He has to. And
President Trump needs to sign off.
Yeah, he do. And traditionally, also the Secretary of Defense and others would be involved because these are, and the intelligence community would be involved. Given the national security implications of these things, again, whether it's chips, jet engines, and so forth.
So I'm remembering how it happened because I remember what happened to the markets each time. And time goes so quick. So it was initially, China's not talking. China's not talking. It's horrible. China's not talking. Then, okay, we're going to meet in Geneva. Then we did Geneva. Everyone was excited. Market went up. All we are right now really is back to Geneva.
We are back. Yeah, that's why this is, the market reaction apparently is what it is. I don't know whether to call this by the technical phrase, nothing burger, but we kind of been there, didn't amount
for the markets. But it's a significant in that it's at least a step along the way to détente, at least. Right?
Exactly. It's not a treaty, if you will. It's a truce. And the real question is, one, how substantive? How long does it last? And as I said, you've got two fronts in this trade war. So even if this helps on the export control front, it doesn't necessarily deal with the tariff front.
How do we separate out the security aspects and the trade aspects? Because I'm wondering what this agreement, what does this put us 10% of the way towards a trade agreement? And that doesn't even include the security and the things we'd like them to stop doing in terms of intellectual theft and, there's so in Taiwan and spy balloons.
It's interesting. In negotiations, you've got two approaches to them traditionally. Either you can keep it really narrow and just try to get one thing resolved, or you can almost do the fruit salad approach and basically say, we're going to add everything to the mix. Now, what China's going to want in the mix more than anything has nothing to do with trade. It's Taiwan. Might be South China Sea and so forth.
Well, and they want their semiconductors. They don't want us doing any of things. They're the ones who are trying to make this a fruit salad approach.
Well, but we have our concerns. For the president tariffs, the trade imbalance is massive in China's favor. They export to us far more than we do them. As Joe said, there's questions of intellectual property theft, which aren't new. We want them, for example, right now, the fastest growing nuclear arsenal world is China's. One of the things we're going to want is China to ultimately participate in arms control talks. So each side has this enormous agenda.
That sounds like such a massive, are we ever going to get anywhere further than a truce?
Yeah, my guess is on the economics. I think, we're going to want to keep it pretty narrow. And I can imagine a kind of rare earths. China will ease some of its export controls. Can I just make a little larger point? We need a rare earths minerals policy. Why do we have a strategic petroleum reserve and we don't have a rare earth mineral reserve? Why do we put ourselves in this position now for 25 years where China has such an ability to throttle the U.S. economy? This is on us. We should never allow ourselves to be put in this position.
Should we be trying to put obstacles in the way of China getting more and more powerful on the global stage? Or do we just try to level things out from both sides and then bring it on? We'll try. We got our, we got our guys out in Silicon Valley. We've got all this great stuff here in this country. We've got a great economy.
It's a big debate. And the question is, export controls, ways to slow China down, historically have slowed them down, have added to their costs.
But we want them economically to do well, don't we?
That's part of the contradiction. Historically, we've wanted them to be a partner with us. We had the hunch, probably not borne out, if they were totally engaged in the world economy, it would moderate them. It didn't work so well.
No.
And also, if we try to slow them down, they'll do workarounds. We saw with Huawei and so forth. We saw it in the chip area. They will find ways to work around. So that's a problem for us. I would say the emphasis ought to be on what we can control. What can we control? Our relationship with our allies, with Japan and others, and our economy. And what we ought to be doing is that we were just talking about is finding ways to reduce our vulnerability to China. There's no reason, again, that we've allowed this situation to arise with rare earths.